In the small town of Tecumseh, Michigan, a chilling discovery shattered the peace of an ordinary family home, setting off a case full of twists, suspicion, and devastating truths. This story begins with 7-year-old Jimmy Allen, a husband, a father, and at least on paper, a family man. On a night that was supposed to be just another Friday evening, Jimmy picked up the phone, dialed 911, and reported the unthinkable.
Okay, what's going on there?
She's in the basement.
Somebody called.
Pulled her up. I tried to give her CPR. I pulled her up.
He had just found his wife unresponsive in the basement. Frantic, panicked, and choking on tears, Jimmy begged for help. He claimed he discovered Amy Allen, his 4-year-old wife, lifeless and cold, hanging by an electrical extension cord. As the dispatcher instructed him to administer CPR, Jimmy sobbed uncontrollably, or at least that's how it sounded over the phone. But from here on out, nothing about Jimmy's reactions would make sense in the eyes of responding officers. When Officer Ben Horn arrived at the residence, the tone shifted dramatically. The basement door creaked open, and the first responders descended the steps. Below, Jimmy sat over the body of his wife, loudly crying and pumping at her chest in an effort to revive her.
Yes.
But there was something off, something unsettling that Officer Horn couldn't shake. Jimmy's performance of grief seemed dramatic, but his eyes remained dry. When he sobbed loudly, his face showed strain, yet not a single tear fell. It was one of many small details that failed to line up. The officers questioned him. How long had she been down there? How did he find her? Why did she go to the basement?
How long has she been down? Do you have any idea? Do you have any idea?
Can't be more than about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Jimmy didn't have many answers, only confusion, shock, and an emotional roller coaster that would grow more erratic by the minute. While EMTs took over CPR, Jimmy tore off his shirt, collapsed to the ground, and screamed in agony. Then, just moments later, he stood up calmly, silently observing the scene like nothing had happened.
Come upstairs with me real quick. Okay.
Upstairs, his emotional pendulum swung yet again. Walking into the kitchen, he suddenly unleashed fury, not at the police, not at the situation, but at a bowl of potato chips on the counter, swiping it violently across the room. Officers exchanged glances. Was this grief, shock, or something else entirely?
Did she make any statements at all?
No,
Once Jimmy stabilized, he offered his version of events. The evening, he explained, had started out fine. He and Amy shared dinner with their daughter Ashley and her friend, a typical family moment. After dropping the girls off at a high school football game, Jimmy and Amy decided to spend some time together. They drove downtown, hopping between 2 bars for casual drinks. At first, everything was normal. But then something changed.
So I went back down and checked on her.
Does Amy have a history of anything like this? Nothing in her background at all?
Ever.
Okay.
Jimmy told police he brought up the idea of selling their house and moving back south, perhaps to Florida, where they had lived previously. According to him, Amy immediately shut the idea down, brushing him off and saying she hoped things worked out for him. That phrasing for him struck Jimmy to his core. He believed they should be planning a future together, but Amy seemed emotionally distant.
Says she's fighting.
Jimmy later recalled that she started texting someone, turning away from him and ignoring their conversation. Eventually, Amy decided she'd had enough. Rather than ride home with her husband, she chose to walk something Jimmy claimed had never happened before. Security camera footage confirmed Amy leaving the bar and walking toward home, alone, head down, typing on her phone. Jimmy drove home separately. When he entered the house, the argument resumed, this time louder, sharper, colder. According to Jimmy, Amy stormed downstairs, grabbed an extension cord, and disappeared into the basement. He left her alone, annoyed and frustrated, and went upstairs to watch a comedy movie, Ace Ventura, starring Jim Carrey. For nearly half an hour, he claimed, he ignored the basement entirely. Then, guilt or obligation finally kicked in. He went downstairs again, intending to smooth things over. Instead, he says he found her hanging, unresponsive, and immediately cut her down. He called 911 at 8:49 p.m. This is the version he repeated to police. And at first, officers had no obvious evidence to disprove it, but that was about to change.
And immediately do that and started, check for a pulse. When I glanced down there, I saw there looked like a upturned kitty litter pail.
Huh.
Because I'm like, like I said, it was just so,
Sure.
all night kind of thinking and playing back what triggered, what was.
Has she ever tried anything like this before?
Never had anything ever. Like, we live a healthy lifestyle, we work out, we go rock climbing 3 times a week in Ann Arbor. We cook meals at home, we grow our own vegetables out here, money trouble, no, this is like the pinnacle of best job I've ever had. I make great money. She's a stay-at-home mom. She takes care of the 5 cats, the pool, and is there for my daughter doing sports and activities.
Sure.
One detail bugged detectives almost immediately. The basement ceiling was only 7 feet high. Amy was 5'6". How could she have done what Jimmy claimed, especially in such a cramped, low-ceilinged space? Where did she even attach the cord? How did she physically manage it without tools or anchoring points? Nothing in the basement setup seemed logical. But rather than accuse Jimmy on the spot, police decided to gather more information. The next day, detectives returned. This time, they met more than just Jimmy. They met Amy's family. And what they revealed shifted the entire direction of the investigation.
Were Dad fighting at all yesterday that you recall?
No, but everything was normal when I left.
When you left? Okay. Is there a history of the, fighting or arguing or anything like that? Nothing ever? Okay.
According to Amy's relatives, Jimmy was controlling. He isolated her from family and friends. He dictated finances and personal decisions. He monitored her phone and social media. He disciplined the children harshly. And when their son Caleb turned 17, he fled the home to escape Jimmy. Even more disturbing, when Caleb left, Jimmy allegedly forbade Amy from communicating with him or with anyone outside the home. To outsiders, Amy was a quiet stay-at-home mom. Inside her marriage, she was suffocating. And now, she was dead. Was it suicide born of desperation? Or something much darker? The phone that broke the case. Police seized Amy's laptop and phone. And inside, they found the final piece of the puzzle. Amy had been in contact with another man named George, a married father from the East Coast. For 3 years, the two had exchanged romantic, emotional, and increasingly explicit messages. Their affair wasn't just emotional, it was physical. Even on the night Amy died, she was texting George rapidly and frequently while sitting beside her husband at the bar. Jimmy may not have known George personally, but detectives suspected he knew enough. The timing was too perfect. They argued about the future. Amy shut him down emotionally.
It wasn't so inner focused and self-focused. Maybe I could have seen things that were going on that maybe could have clued me into what my wife was in so much turmoil that I couldn't even see it. That's how it feels. I don't even know who I am.
Describe yourself. What kind of a person are you?
I would say I'm a type A personality. I like structure, organization, I'm ambitious. Always seeking to improve myself and others around me. That's why all this is so pressing to me, is because I had really taken measures in the last couple of years to make sure that myself, my family were mentally fit, mentally healthy, pursuing things that not only get you physical, but helping others, being kind, making it, like you said, making the same thing, that type of person, making a positive impact.
She walked home texting another man. They continued to fight inside the house, and within an hour, she was found unconscious. Suddenly, the motive came into focus. Jealousy, betrayal, loss of control.
Looking back now, where you're at now, does anything pop out at you as...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my wife had some issues. And,
what kind of issues?
she struggled from, social anxiety, she's been like that for years. She's just an extremely shy, introverted person. She never developed relationships even when we were in Ocala. She didn't have any friends. She was playing video games compulsively, that World of Warcraft thing. That got out of hand, so she just sort of started isolating herself. And so I had taken measures when we got up here to help her break out.
If Jimmy discovered Amy's affair that night, or simply sensed he had lost his grip on her, the stage was set for a confrontation that could have turned deadly. Just as police prepared to confront Jimmy with this new information, he vanished. He packed his clothes, loaded his cats and belongings into his car, and left with his daughter Ashley, returning to Florida, where the story had started decades ago. To officers, it looked like a man running from consequences. But Jimmy insisted he was only going home to grieve with family and retrieve support. Regardless, investigators now viewed him not as a devastated husband, but as their #1 suspect. More conversations from Amy's phone showed a deeper pattern of misery. She confided in others that Jimmy monitored her movements. He tracked her location using apps. He questioned every outing. He discouraged independence. And he frequently threatened emotional consequences. To the outside world, they appeared healthy rock climbing, gardening, cooking, raising their daughter. But behind that curated life was a woman who felt trapped, controlled, and unseen. The affair with George wasn't just a secret romance, it was her only emotional escape, the single thread connecting her to a different life. A life where she mattered. A life where she was allowed to exist independently. Police now saw the picture clearly. Jimmy wasn't just a grieving husband. He was a man watching his controlled world collapse and doing whatever he could to hold it together, no matter the cost. On the 17th of September 2018, 3 days after being found unresponsive, Amy Allen was taken off life support. Her death was officially recorded. With Amy gone, the investigation shifted instantly from mysterious injury to possible homicide. Every piece of evidence pointed away from suicide and toward violence. The low basement height, the faint mark on her neck suggesting manual strangulation, the lack of tears during Jimmy's crying episodes, his hostility when informed she still had a pulse, his sudden relocation to Florida, the 3-year affair discovery. Police believed Jimmy discovered the messages, confronted Amy, and attacked her, possibly choking her until she lost consciousness, then concocted a story of suicide.
Add up.
The people want you to believe that Jimmy Allen, for reasons nobody explains or guesses or understands why, snaps after 15 years of marriage, brutally kills his wife, goes up into cover-up mode, does all of this cover-up, and then gets the police there at 8:52 to start showing them evidence of this hanging. He's looking at searches for Jim Carrey movies and other Showtime shows, the exact shows that he had told police that night that he had watched.
Story of control, desperation, and tragedy. The story of Jimmy and Amy Allen is more than a case file. It is a chilling reminder of what can unfold behind closed doors. A husband, desperate for control.
This is terrible.
A wife, silently suffering, planning her escape. A moment of rage that may have ended in death. Even today, the case stands as a painful example of red flags ignored, isolation disguised as love, and how quickly tension can turn lethal.
You do say upon your oaths that you find the defendant guilty of the lesser offense of second-degree murder.
Amy's story echoes through every message she sent, every friend she lost, and every smile she faked. She wanted freedom. She just didn't live long enough to reach it.